Hey, what's up, you guys? So this is about the third or fourth time that I'm trying to record this video. It is so difficult for somebody who is as big a fan of the Hush storyline to actually try to capture in a cogent manner his thoughts and feelings. Because I say feelings because watching this movie was an emotional experience for me. A little bit of context. I am a major comic book fan, and my entry into comic books as a whole, at least in my adult life, came from reading Hush. So 10 years ago for my birthday, a friend of mine got me the graphic novel, and I burned through like 12 issues of Hush, or 12 issues of Batman, the Hush storyline, inside of, it must have been like 2 hours or less, definitely less. And so as a result of that, over the last 10 years, between 2009 and now, I must have read this book about like 500 times. I kid you not. And I know some of the dialogue, by heart. And there's certain panels, in the comic book that are captured in my mind's eye. So the first thing that happened to me, wait, this video is chock-a-block full of spoilers. So if you have not watched it yet, you should probably just maybe bookmark this, save it to a playlist or some shit like that, and come back and watch it when you're done. But if you would just like a general review, there is another video where it's a spoiler-free review. I'll put a card to it somewhere up over there, and you can watch a spoiler-free review. But right now, I'm not even gonna lie, it's like chock-a-block full of spoilers. So this is your last warning. Okay, so let's get back to it. So as I was saying, when I was watching this, from the moment I sat down, there were a couple of things I was like, what the fuck? What are these guys doing? Because they changed some things, and there were some things that they changed where I just didn't think it made sense at all. For example, we lost Killer Croc and now we have Bane. So while the inclusion of Bane for purposes of this story made sense, what they did with it, I was just like, was that a change that was necessary at all? So that was the first thing that threw me. The second thing that threw me was the fact that there are certain characters that are not in it at all. So for example, Huntress is not in it, Tim Drake's not in it, so the Tim Drake Robin is not in it, and I was just like, how? Okay. But then it occurred to me that, okay, look, because they've taken the Hush story, they've uprooted it and transplanted it into the DC Comics animated universe, right? As we know it right now. So this is the same universe where we've had the Justice League, we've recently had the Reign of the Superman, the Death of Superman and Reign of the Superman, all of that. So now they've just basically taken this entire story and transplanted it in over there. So from that perspective, it makes sense because those versions of the characters haven't been incorporated into the storyline. So I guess that makes sense. Though, there are a couple of key moments in the story now that, I do get lost. The question is, though, how do they recover from it? I would have to say, and in all fairness, they do recover fairly well. So as you know from the comic book, there is that scene where Tim Drake has to, the Tim Drake Robin has to get to grips with the fact that, Batman's revealed his identity to Catwoman, and around that time, Batman's not sure whether he can trust Catwoman or not, so there's an entire ruse that goes on over there that involves Catwoman and Tim Drake, the Tim Drake Robin. Now, all of that is omitted over here, which I would have to say is probably, it's irritating, yes, but to be fair, and just because I want to play devil's advocate, but to be fair, it is a clever move because it helps to tie and streamline the story, which is something I would think makes a lot of sense, because you must remember, I think this movie was just about 80 minutes long, so there's a lot of plot points and story threads in the Hush storyline which rolled out over the period of 12 issues that they cut out. But with that being said, there's some stuff that they cut out that just irritated me, because very early in the story, when Batman falls down, when the Batline is severed, now over here it's severed because Hush shoots it, but in the comic book, somebody throws a batarang at it and he lands in Crime Alley, and that there leads to the whole, Jason Todd twist in the story, in the comic book. And listen, guys, I'm not even going to apologize for spoilers for the Hush storyline, because if you haven't read that comic, then, you don't deserve to watch this movie. You need to do your homework first. The Hush comic book is the shit, my man. You need to watch that thing, okay? Read that thing. You're getting confused over here. But let's try that again. So, so after Batman has his concussion and all of that stuff up there, he uses Morse code to alert Alfred to contact Tommy Elliot, who is a major character in the entire storyline. And over here, that's completely omitted. So the entire Tommy Elliot storyline and all the stuff that we see in the comic book where they, they introduce us to him and you get this like emotional attachment to him as Bruce is supposed to have, all of that is completely omitted. So when Tommy dies here, I gotta say that I was like, okay, this is a little bit empty. Like, I mean, why would Batman be so cut up about it? Because there's no emotional investment, So I'm thinking from the perspective of somebody who doesn't know the background to the story or, hasn't read the comic books, those people. And I think that something was kind of lost with this. That was a bit of a fail. But once again, to be devil's advocate, the way they do it in the story, especially with the twist at the end, like the Riddler thing, I did not see that coming. Like, what? I'm not going to lie to you. Like, that's the third act, from the point that Catwoman and Nightwing go to the graveyard, they fight the Scarecrow there and all of that stuff. I was still thinking that, okay, when Nightwing gets cut and, they got the blood of I was still thinking that, okay, somebody is going to they're going to take that blood and they're going to give it to Clayface, and then Clayface is going to start doing acrobatics to simulate like Jason Todd. And that's still going to happen, but that none of that happened. So they had me guessing, which was good. So I guess like when you know the story as well as I do, and I've read it at like maybe like 500 times over the last 10 years, the fact that there were plot twists and stuff that had me going like, hey, what happened here? That was on point. So for that alone, I have to give these guys props. The Riddler twist, like, oh my god, I did not see that coming. I did not expect that. I was like, okay, this is awesome. Like, up until the last minute, I still thought that Tommy Elliot was going to be Hush. I still thought. And they twisted it completely. They changed it. And it was like, what? That was awesome. I really, really enjoyed that. So what I decided was that I am going to have to separate myself. I'm going to have to separate myself as a Hush the comic book fan and allow myself to be, just for purposes of watching this movie and making this review, separate myself into another version of myself that is just looking at this movie as a movie itself, so let me just try and do that. So for purpose of that, I would have to say definitely something worth watching, thoroughly entertaining. I really, really, really enjoyed it. In fact, I'm going to watch it again just because I don't feel, I think that the first time I watched it, I was so busy comparing in my mind's eye like Hush the comic book versus Hush the movie, that there were a couple of things that just went like over my head, because I was like, man, why didn't they do that? Oh man, why did they? Oh yes, they did that. Nah, I cheated myself there. So what I would say to you is that go into it as not a Hush fan, if that's at all possible. Just go into it now to watch a movie and try to enjoy the movie for what it is, because it really is a very, very enjoyable movie. But with that being said, as a comic book fan, it's in as much as I say that I want to separate myself, it's near impossible to do so. So there were a couple of things that irritated me. First of all, the visual style. I understand why it looks the way it looks because they're setting it in that universe, but I really, really, really wish that they had just done an adaptation that looked like Jim Lee stuff. I mean, come on, man. Like Jim Lee, Hush, Jeph Loeb, those three things just go together. If you didn't have Jeph Loeb's writing, you wouldn't get the story. Now, they did some adaptations of here, which I can live with, but the art, man, like seriously, it would have been, if I were to give the art style over here a score, I would say it's like a 7, 8, 6, okay, let's say 7, out of 10. But like if they just did Jim Lee, it would be like 11 out of 10. Like, damn it. But you know what? It's okay. I'll always have the comics. I'll always have the comic books for that. The voice acting, okay, you know what? Nothing against Jason O'Mara. He's the guy that voices Batman. But like, man, I really wish it was Kevin Conroy, because again, for the last 10 years, in my head, when I read the book, Batman's voice is Kevin Conroy, from Batman the Animated Series. So those are just like, it's a personal preference, it's something that I was like, I felt let's try that again. I felt slightly cheated by, but on the whole, what I have decided is that just like everything else, when it comes to comic book movies and like stuff that gets adapted, because a lot of people like losing their shit about the Lion King and all that at the moment. What I decided is that, okay, look, this version of the story, this is for audiences of today, So for anyone who's out there who's never experienced the story, this is the version that they're going to have. So it's made for them, so I must leave it there. For me, as somebody who has had a lot of emotional investment in the story, it's just, I need to look at it as something old, but repackaged and rebranded as something new. So I must enjoy it as a new experience, which I thoroughly did. So anyway, I'm going to close it off there. Suffice to say that it is an awesome movie. You definitely need to watch it. And then after you watch it, you need to watch it again, because I can guarantee you that you're going to be befucked upstairs. It's not going to, some stuff is just going to be, what? Okay, so yeah, you want to watch it and then you want to watch it again. And then let me know what you thought, like, am I being too critical, because like the way I feel is that like, it made me happy, it made me sad, it lived up to my expectations, but it disappointed me. And like it was an exciting experience, but it was a heartbreaking experience at the same time. I was wowed and I was like out, all at the same time. So it made me go ish with excitement and ish with disappointment. So this movie is a roller coaster. It's just a damn good entertainment. That's all I can say. It's damn good entertainment. Definitely something you should watch. And let me know in the comments below like what you thought. And yeah, that would be totally cool. If you're new to the channel as well, if you're stuck around with me for this long, hey, thanks and welcome. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, follow, do all of that stuff. There's a bell somewhere on the side over there, so just press that so you can stay up to date with all the other stuff I'm doing. I also have a shitload of giveaways that I'm doing as well, so you want to check out those as well. That would be pretty awesome. And I'll chat to you guys soon. Bye.